We all love a holiday with our buddies, right? Well, perhaps we ought to consider that once more, because it's known information that simply these days, 12 months the take Shanquella Robinson changed into allegedly murdered via way of means of her buddies throughout her excursion in Mexico. For them to do what they did, ma'am, it simply appeared love it changed into a plot, due to the fact they could not have did that over right here, ma'am. It could not have been over right here. They could not have did that over right here. You recognize, wherein her buddies, all her buddies' buddies are. It whilst it went down like that, ma'am. They do not understand what they have done, ma'am. This has delivered worry in lots of people, particularly the ones making plans on taking place organization vacations. But maximum significantly, it is left unanswered questions within inside the minds of everyone. What passed off to Shanquella and changed into she clearly murdered via way of means of her buddies? Or ought to we are saying a buddy? And why hasn't there been an arrest? Or isn't always the FBI dealing with the case properly? But what if I inform you we would simply have a number of the solutions you're looking for? All right, let's discover out. And you'll be amazed to pay attention what Shanquella Robinson's dad has to mention approximately why the FBI isn't always dealing with the case properly. This case can be triggering, however take a seat down again and loosen up as we display all of the new however devastating information of her murder, Shanquella's loss of life. It all commenced some months in the past at the 28 October whilst 6 buddies vacation Mexico. It changed into speculated to be a satisfied and joyous occasion for the buddies because it changed into one in all their buddies' birthdays. This organization consisted of 4 women and guys. Unfortunately, their identities are nevertheless but to be discovered. However, those 6 buddies stayed at San Jose's Del Cabo Villa in Baja California Sur, one in all them being Shanquella Robinson from Charlotte, North Carolina. As usual, with inside the excursion spirit, they appear to have had fun, partied and the first-class time in their lives. And then their mother, Salamandra Robinson, were given a surprising telecell smartphone name at the 30th from her buddies claiming she changed into unwell with alcohol poisoning and changed into later advised that she had died from the poisoning. In an interview with WSOP TV, she stated she wasn't feeling well, that it changed into alcohol poisoning. At this time, the sector changed into oblivious to the loss of life of Shanquella as her visiting accomplice and buddies had saved it hidden. However, it wasn't till a video circulated at the net at the 15 November that the sector were given to recognize segments of the reality of the way Shanquella had died. So right here's the actual gist. Apparently, the following day, after arriving on the villa, Shanquella changed into allegedly inebriated and nearly handed out. Nevertheless, and difficulty appeared to have ensued among Shanquella and a selected buddy whose identification changed into unknown on the time. And even though the information of what caused the attack are nevertheless hidden with inside the video, you may see a naked, inebriated, or perhaps worn out Shanquella at the ground with a buddy, attacking her with intense blows, like they had been in a boxing ring. Shanquella, on the alternative hand, changed into defenseless and stayed at the ground, taking in all of the beatings. And you may overhear a male voice pronouncing Quella, at the least combat again. But it looks like Quella wasn't a fighter and he or she stayed nevertheless this one-sided combat. Now there is a brand new record of the incident. In this record it changed into stated that Shanquella's buddies, or ought to we are saying visiting companions, had asked a clinical session at round 2:0 p.m. However, on arrival, the clinical employees had observed she had a bad verbal reaction however had strong vitals. And similar to the preceding account, he had cautioned them to take her to the sanatorium and that they refused. Specious, right? However, she changed into stated to have commenced seizing via way of means of 4:20 p.m. And that changed into whilst one in all her buddies went to Essence Donovan, found out how intense her case changed into, and known as 911. And consistent with a police record, whilst the emergency group arrived, Shanquella changed into experiencing problems respiration and had a reduced pulse. She changed into stated to have stopped respiration, and after numerous CPR movements had been administered to her without success, she changed into in the end declared dead. By 5:57 p.m., a clinical record via way of means of the examiner had additionally suggested that Shanquella had died from intense spinal twine damage and atlas fixation and now no longer alcohol poisoning like her buddies claimed. In fact, there has been no point out of alcohol poisoning, a supply had added. That identical night, her buddies had known as Salamandra, Shanquella's mom, telling her Shanquella changed into being dealt with for alcohol poisoning, and after she changed into show dead, her buddies back to the US. Apparently, it took her own circle of relatives weeks to get her frame again to the US. So basically, this is the best reality we recognize that transpired and caused her loss of life. Though with the video circulating the internet, many have been caused and appalled that her son known as Buddies might act in this type of manner. And this stirred up the justice for Shanquella hashtag. People took to social media to dig deeper into her loss of life, questioning who her buddies had been, which ones had killed her, and why they had been all overlaying it, as seemingly all of them advised the police extraordinary tales approximately the incident of that day. And it changed into determined via way of means of the Twitter investigative sympathizers that the woman with inside the video who changed into dispensing quite intense blows to Shanquella, main to her loss of life is Dion J.V. Jackson. And at the same time as many have been investigating her loss of life, others puzzled if she might ever get justice, as the sector is curious as to why there hasn't been an arrest when you consider her loss of life in October. Meanwhile, on listening to approximately their daughter's loss of life, her mother and father, Bernard and Shanquella Robinson, had been devastated and puzzled the way it passed off, and they desired to recognize the reality approximately her loss of life. Shanquella had advised Good Morning America that she had spoken to Shanquella on Friday, the alleged day of her loss of life, pronouncing she stated, "Well, mother, I'm on the point of eat." She added, "I stated, well, okay, revel in yourself. Have a terrific time and I love you and I'll speak to you tomorrow." And sadly, that changed into the closing communique she had together along with her daughter. Her mother and father had additionally stated they in no way believed the tales her buddies had advised them earlier than the post-mortem record got here again, according to them, after they back to the US. Each of them dropped via way of means of to present their condolences, however all with the extraordinary tale of the incident. The Robinsons insisted that they desired to recognize the reality. When the video surfaced at the internet and advised ABC News that they wanted every of her buddies might simply face justice for her loss of life, they stated, "I would love to look everyone in all them dispatched again to Mexico," due to the fact their plan changed into to return back again right here, wondering that they were not going to be prosecuted. They concluded via way of means of pronouncing she changed into a worrying character, and I need them to usually bear in mind that we're going to hold her legacy alive. Nevertheless, the Mexican government introduced that research might be initiated for femicide, that's a gender-based violence following their loss of life. Also, Shelley Lynch, a spokesperson from the FBI Discipline Workplace in Charlotte, North Carolina, showed to ABC News that the FBI had opened in research to Shanquella's loss of life. Consequently, her own circle of relatives and sympathizers have been satisfied that justice might sooner or later be served. However, it looks like the FBI hasn't been dealing with the case properly, as her father Bernard Robinson has discovered that they were not telling them a good deal approximately the case and are nevertheless but to make an arrest. Meanwhile, the Mexican government introduced that an arrest warrant have been issued these days for an unknown suspect, and on listening to the information of a likely arrest, her mother and father have been glad. Shanquella's mother, Shanquella Robinson, advised ABC News that she felt satisfied that they might sooner or later get what they have been ready for. She stated, "I sense so excellent. That's a terrific feeling. That's what we had been ready for a person to sooner or later be held responsible and arrested. I simply cannot look ahead to justice to be served. I wager the sector is likewise feeling excellent approximately it. Yes, we certain are. However, this makes one marvel why the FBI is taking goodbye to expose any important data and as have made any arrests. Well, what do you suspect is the reason? So there you've got it. That'll be eager about today. If you want our video, allow us to recognize your mind with inside the feedback phase below. Until we come your manner once more subsequent time. Bye for now.